And your name is Askar, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Askar Mirza. There was only one Mirza when I was growing up, I remember. But are you born and raised in New Jersey?
I was born in the New York City, actually. I moved here when I was 5.
Oh, crap. Okay. So you moved here when you're to New Jersey when you were 5 with your family. They're
Yep, that's
from
right.
New York. Are they originally from New York?
They were born in Pakistan. They
Oh,
immigrated
cool.
in 2001.
Nice, nice, nice. That's the Mirza. Okay. The
Yep.
Mirza that I know, I went to high school with, he was Albanian. So
Oh, I
I
see.
was wondering. I was wondering maybe you're Albanian. But I would love to get to know you. We're going to have a nice long discussion here. This is the NJ First podcast. Going to try a different format of content providing to the viewers, and I would love to just hear your story of how you got brought up. What was your childhood like? You said you moved to New Jersey when you were 5, so however you want to give it to the people.
Yeah, sure. Look, quite honestly, I don't remember very much before moving to New Jersey. I was 5 years old. I grew up in Ridgefield Park. I went to the elementary school right in front of my house. I went to high school here. And it was a really, really great community. From the beginning, I was really happy to get involved. Politics was something that came on early to me. I think 2012, first time I watched an election night. So that's 8 years old for me. I was watching Romney versus Obama with my parents. It was great. It was not something that I carried in. But then 2016, I was 12 years old and the Republican primary debates were happening, and I was infatuated. It was really an amazing experience, and I've kind of been into politics ever since.
Yeah, I'd say my passion for it started way later, like 17. I didn't know anything about politics when I was younger. But in the meantime, did you play sports or anything? Just more interested in who you are.
Yeah, I did jujitsu, actually, believe it or not.
Ah,
And that was the sport that I did. It wasn't for an extremely long period of time. I did debate. I am pretty boring in that regard. I did debate. I did Model UN. I did a lot of those politics adjacent stuff. I got really into basketball for a while. I think my first game on the Xbox, besides like Minecraft, was 2K.
That's right. Okay, so you're Gen Z. We're gonna get into that right now because I'm thinking back, and I was in the chess club, and I still play chess today with friends and stuff. So I still remember that. But you're Gen Z, so completely different era. I'm a millennial, last generation without the internet. You're a generation that grew up with the internet. So Minecraft, you said you played a lot of Minecraft. I've never played it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't remember a time in my life before the iPhone, right? Let alone the internet. A lot of those kinds of Minecraft, Roblox games growing up. I wish I could stay into it, but these days I really don't have the time.
During the pandemic or something, I was really into Rust. I was getting really into gaming.
I've heard good things. Yeah, I'm more of a DayZ guy. I played that for a little bit. It was miserable. I hated it, but I still play sometimes.
All right. Let's see. Your family was from Pakistan.
Yep.
Have you ever? I've never traveled outside the States. I'm trying to. Have you ever visited your family?
Well, I've got you beat. I think the furthest I've ever gone from home is Washington, D.C. So not really. I haven't left that tri-state area region yet. Never left the country. I'd love to someday, although Pakistan's got some issues they need to sort out politically and security-wise before that something would be possible.
Yeah, I got German ancestors and close immigrant ancestors, and I always would love to go back one day. Of course, people always longing. Yeah. So, did you have any siblings? I'm not getting any personal or anything, but
no, it's totally fine. I've got 2 siblings. They're still around, thankfully. One of them just graduated from Rutgers. He got his degree in economics, and the other one started at Rutgers Newark, actually, supply chain management. So he likes it.
That's a nice one. That's a very nice field. Yeah, you get a good job out of that, actually.
Yep, that was big on his list, but he's been very business minded. My older brother, he's very, very into the social sciences. He got his bachelor's degree in economics. I public policy. I like to tell people that's political science for people who want a job.
That's what I went to school for. But you're not right. You're not wrong.
It's a little more hands-on than political science, a little bit less theory, and I'm very much enjoying it. We're a week or two in the classes, and it's great.
Yeah, let's skip right to Rutgers because I myself went to Rutgers Newark. Fernando Uribe honors the badge as well, Rutgers alumni, and yourself are attending Rutgers right now. That's the main campus you're at, right?
Yep, New Brunswick.
And so what are you studying there?
Public policy. So
That's
my course load isn't super intense right now. I transferred in as a sophomore, but I had a few extra credits, so I'm able to kind of take it easy this year. Legislative policy making is a class I really enjoy. Political science methods. One of the interesting is I picked up an internship class, where that you find an internship and you go and talk about it. And being an elected official, that is my internship. It's a little difficult because they'd like me to bring in my boss, but there's 15,000 constituents. I don't think they'd all fit in the room.
Yeah, they probably think like you're all high up in there already and stuff like that. They want you to bring in everybody. That's pretty cool, dude. At least you're gonna hopefully you get paid for your which we'll get into the elected official position that you got elected into. But when I was in Rutgers, I went to the ACLU for an internship, ironically, right? And it was for free. And now I look back at it and I'm like, I can't believe I worked for free and for the ACLU for free. No, but
you know, I've done my fair share of free internships. It's always better to be paid, but you know, especially in party politics, I'm sure you know that they'll want you to pay your dues first.
Yeah, and you're learning it a lot earlier than I was, but we can even go into the Leadership Institute. But first, because again, I think we share commonality there as well. But for Rutgers, what's the milieu like? The environment on campus? Everybody obviously knows it's a Democrat campus. It's a leftist liberal campus. When I was at Rutgers Newark, you could see it with the visible eye. Can you see it with the visible eye on campus?
It's interesting, not so much anymore. The campus is massive. You know, I think my class is bigger than the population of the town that I'm in charge of. You know, so it's really a huge group with a lot of diverse opinions, predominantly liberal. You know, I went to the presidential debate watch party, and one candidate got a lot more cheers than the other. You know, to put things short. I think though we're starting to see a shift. I think in the same thing, people who would call themselves conservative are a lot more willing to kind of get out and say that that's the case. Maybe in years past, they would feel more inclined to kind of stay out of it. I will say that left-leaning individuals and democratic individuals are much more likely to participate in campus politics and in politics in general. A lot of the conservative guys here, they're not interested in politics. They don't. They want to stay far, far away from it. They'll vote, you know, as often as they can. But that's about it.
And that's something that the Republicans or the right wing, whatever you want to call them, have to learn, because the Democrats and the left wing know that it's like voting patterns on behavior, gender and behavioral issues and stuff like that, what you major in, stuff like that. But you're right. The Democrats outwork them. They attend the events. They do the canvassing. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. That's the only place that jobs are for canvassing for Republicans that are in the Northeast. But for Rutgers, you said that it wasn't too much visible with the eye, which is good, right? But it's probably there laying low, I'm sure, after the protests that they had for the Israel versus Hamas war, right? And the terrorist attack, October 7th, right? And but I just want to remember, in New Brunswick was where the Democrat Socialists were. There was the it's the Democratic Socialists, right, of America, the DSA. That's a notorious organization in America from the 70s. And they, I think, have probably a small chapter at your place, probably, and it doesn't really exist, right?
Well, not just the DSA. I mean, we have Marxist-Leninist chapters here as well. You know,
shit, really?
Yeah, I it's funny. I got accosted by one of them during the club fair. They put the Rutgers Republicans right next to the Marxist-Leninist club, the club or event, and it's interesting because apparently they do it every year. I think our table is a little better attended. I
just remembered something because there was a Democrat guy on Twitter trying to align Project 2025 with Republicans in New Jersey. And he said that in Rutgers Republicans at Rutgers, New Brunswick, were handing out the Project 2025 literature, and he showed, I don't know if it's true or not, but it was from the Heritage. I guess the Heritage Foundation is in charge. I don't know. Interesting. I'll look that up and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've spoken to a couple of the people here on the Rutgers Republicans college campus. I mean, we're a diverse bunch opinion-wise. We're much more tolerant of that, but I don't see any of that happening on the ground. I think it's very very astroturfed.
I thought the same thing, that the guy was just posting on Twitter saying you're trying to align the Project 2025 with the Republicans. But yeah, definitely Michael Joseph. I believe his last name is Joseph. So interesting. Michael Joseph. He's a great individual. He tried to, I guess, push Jeremy Lee to get us to do a debate there. And yeah, you guys got a good bunch there. Nice. So you're in that now. You're now a Rutgers Republican.
Yeah, I'm part of the group. I want us to get some events together. We haven't had our first meeting yet, which I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a great experience. I look forward to engaging on campus. We had actually a bit of a run-in during the debate, the presidential debate watch party. You had a couple of, I guess, college Democrats or just disillusioned people that trying to rile up our table. You know, it's something that you're going to expect when you're the minority party or the opposition party anywhere. You know, you've got to learn to put up with a little bit of that.
Hey man, you're so young, and I honor the I guess respect that you have. I just go bonk on the head or something like that. No, you can't do that. No. Would I want to ask you we're going fast through this, but we got plenty of time for the university, because I went to school for political science. You're going to school for something more targeted, public policy, you said. I could have took those classes, but mine was more ambiguous. Like you said, they have this whole making fun of political science. It's not a real science. They're trying to be a science. It's liberal arts. Yeah, my degree says Bachelor of Arts, not Bachelors of Science. It says Bachelors of Arts in Political Science. It ain't worth shit. I'll tell you that. So do you think university is, one, worth it, or two, necessary for everybody? Because that's the lie that we still are getting told. You know, kids are getting pushed to these, like I like to say, communist factories. They're getting indoctrinated in these universities. Very few are like yourself. The majority are going to go with the crowd. But do you think that it's a necessity that everybody should go to college? It's a good thing, you know, that everybody goes to college. A lot of debt that you get into it too.
No, I don't think it's necessary at all. I think actually a lot of people here on campus are wasting their time. I think that college is a choice, but just like any other choice in life, if you don't use it correctly, it's not going to work out for you. And there's plenty of other choices that I would argue are more effective for a large majority of people. We have a massive shortage of the trades, blue collar work. It's much more in demand than white collar work, I will tell you. The market has become so oversaturated with college graduates who take 4 years to study anthropology or 4 years to study music, literature. And if you make that choice to pursue that degree path and college doesn't work out for you, I can't say that it's the college's fault. But I definitely don't think it's necessary. I think that there are plenty other options for people who want to get high paying jobs or just want to advance in life. You know, for yourself, you have a degree in political science and you did something with it, right? You work in politics, you maintain a political network, a show that you run. But a lot of people will get those degrees and they won't network, they won't attempt to make something of themselves, and they'll blame the system for failing them.
Yeah, I don't, in my 6 to 7 years I've been doing NJ First, never have I come across a colleague in my college days that I was in classes with. They went on to different fields and made money, and I didn't make much money, but I'm doing what I love. But yeah, I agree with what you say, because I'm finding the adults in society today that have children aren't agreeing. They say, you know, you still can go maybe for something like to be a doctor or an engineer, something that's actual, you know, you can get an actual job with. But I just hate seeing these kids who don't even like school. They didn't even like high school. They're being forced to go into debt to go to college. And you're on your first year, your first semester, right? I remember this so much. I partied my first 2 years and I studied so hard my last year. It only took me 3 years to do it. You're going to not half the kids in your first semester aren't going to return. Like you said, they're not even wanting to be there. They're not going to return. It's watch. They're going to drop out.
Yeah. I mean, look, college, I think, can be very helpful if that's something that you want to do. And more specifically, you know what you want to do. It's not a find yourself factory. If you don't have a plan, you should probably get one before you start paying $30,000 a semester in tuition, or a year, pardon me. It's just not. I think that the fact that we let 17-year-olds go into hundreds of thousands of dollars in college debt, it's not super wise. Again, helpful for some. I would caution people to think more before making that decision.
I think they said something near 95% of student loans are federal Stafford loans, which is one I had too. That's just, okay, let's call it what it is. That's socialism. That is what it's okay, but that's what it might be. That's funny. Thank you for having that conversation with me. Very colloquial. Let's go into politics. You are from Ridgefield Park. You won an election that was really, really tight. It went even into legal matters, right? I guess you had to recount the votes or whatever. But let's have you explain your whole experience. It's your first experience, right, with your campaign run.
Yeah, well, it wasn't an easy campaign. It really wasn't. I kind of wasted a lot of time lingering on that decision of whether to run and whether not to run. But once we got in the race, we had to be on fire. To be quite honest with you, the majority of the reason I want to say that we run is we were able to effectively communicate our message. We used 21st century tactics, and it matters. A lot of the times, these campaigns that people are running, they're not using the data that they have. You lose the information war, you lose the social media war, and frankly, you're losing the ground war. I was lucky to be young and only recently out of high school, so I had a lot of people willing to come out and help me. We registered, it's got to be close to 30 new voters my age who have been eligible to vote for almost 2 years now, just haven't. That made the difference. We had the ground game, we won the data war, and that was what it was. I was out. It's funny, campaigns cost money, and that really didn't feel as real to me until I started trying to raise money. I hated fundraising, and I still do. I'm better at it now, but I hate calling someone asking for money. And so what ended up happening was I got a nighttime job, and I would work from midnight to 8 a.m. I would crash for an hour or two, and then I would get right back to campaign events. In the afternoon, I would door knock and then go to work. It was exhausting. But we won the edge, and really, a 2-vote margin is what we won by. So every vote counted. So I'm very glad I did it what I did. I don't think I'm ever going to get that sleep back, but I've got a title in front of my name that I think makes up for it.
And he's not joking, guys, who's watching. He literally won by 2 votes. And I think the people who were contesting him were just as much disbelief as anybody else. But I guess that makes you one of the youngest elected officials in New Jersey's history, probably.
I am by far the youngest in Ridgefield Park history. But in New Jersey, I'm up there. I think I'm the youngest on the municipal side right now. As you know, Robert Fisher is, I think, the youngest overall elected officials, but he's on school board.
Right.
It's a responsibility, to drag young people across the line, especially, conservative young men and women, right? But what I found in large part is that there were so many people out there who agreed with me on principle, didn't bother to register to vote, didn't bother to come out and vote. They had these core beliefs, but they haven't been marketed to, they haven't been reached out to about the issues that matter to them.
Now about those people right there, because myself, I didn't vote until 2020. It was the first time I voted. I did campaigns in 2015, 2016, I went to school for it. I just didn't have somebody I wanted to vote for. I didn't, no one came knocking on my door. I'm in rural Warren County. I voted in 2020 because America was on fire and Donald Trump was the guy. But those voters on the local level that don't vote for the local races like yourself, like you're getting, Is it simply people who I get, because now they have the DMV, everybody's going to be registered to vote. It's hard. And then my generation and your generation, they register you to vote at school, So those people, was it older people? That's what I'm trying to ask. Was it older individuals that just...
So older people voted in record numbers. So I have a May municipal election. So May 14th was my election day. Our total voter turnout was 1,025 people in a town of 8,500 registered voters. It was abysmal. But younger people who barely get out to vote in November absolutely did not come out to vote in May. And so targeting that group of people, mobilizing them, getting them to show up, and which didn't take much, just someone actually making the effort to reach out to them. That's all it took. And that edge is eventually what won us the race. We beat a slate that hadn't been beat since it was formed, and I did it off the line, obviously, without a slate of my own. It just took smart work and hard work.
Nice. Very well said. Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't clear on that because you said you registered people to vote, I think, right?
Yes.
Were those people younger or older? I'm just curious.
Younger, much younger.
Interesting.
You have the option to say no at the DMV, which is a very good thing, but it boggles the mind that these people have it in front of them and just no, they're not going to register to vote right now.
Right. Because for instance, I registered to vote in 2017. I didn't vote until 2020. But if it's in front of me, that's exactly what it was. It was in front of me. I registered to vote. All right, whatever. That's cool.
I believe 2022 was the first year I could vote, and I was very excited. I registered as soon as I could, and I voted in person on election day the first time.
Nice. That was the second time I voted. It was in Pennsylvania, and for Doug Mastriano.
Yeah, well, we need you out there.
Yeah, now I get to vote for Donald Trump in 2024 this year, and it'll count in a battleground state, I suppose. But here's a little hint to after we have our video recording right here. NJ.com, a reporter from NJ.com, asked to interview me on the far right movement in the America First Republicans in New Jersey. So it's definitely a setup, but. We'll see what comes out about that.
Absolutely. The moniker far right has, and we saw it happen starting in 2016. It's just become all expansive. The right is the far right. It's become asinine to try to argue with it.
And I think I didn't deep dive into your Twitter or anything like that, but yourself aren't hardcore conservative, right-wing, only Republicans. You're willing to reach across the aisle. You're willing to have free speech and listen to somebody else and all that stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I would describe myself as center-right. I think that's not a common moniker these days. I think you're either far left or you're far right. I would be happy to refer to myself as center-right. I think bipartisanship is very important, and I've worked with Democrats and I've worked with Republicans. The problem that we're having is you see less and less of that kind of middle ground politics. It's not about compromise. Democrats have a supermajority in the state, and they're going to enforce that.
What do you think about because when I'm thinking of center right, what do you think about the term populist as a center right? I mean, center.
It's a term. It's very poorly used, very poorly defined. I think a populist, generally speaking, is someone who goes against the establishment, regardless of what that person might actually believe. I try to avoid using it in general. Yeah,
and I think last year they had the term fusionist. There's the fusion. Those were coming back in the term out. It's very weird. But anything else you want to say about your Ridgefield Park Commissioner election before we move on?
Yeah, it was close. And you should always come out and vote in your local elections, because that 2-vote margin was the difference between me and the same old. Young people, I would encourage you to come out and vote in your local elections. I would encourage you to run in your local elections. It was hard work, but logistically, it wasn't an especially difficult task. We knew from the beginning what the plan was. We did the plan. We won.
Before we move on, is there, in regards to your plan, what's what the big number one thing that you want to get done while you have your term? If anything.
Financial stability. We just got done replanning our annual street fair event, and we dropped our cost down roughly 50%. And we really didn't sacrifice much in the ways of talent or in the ways of programming. We just were smarter about where we put our money and how we invested it.
Great answer, because when people ask me, like, if you're in Congress, what bill would you draft? No, if I'm in Congress, I'm voting no and trying to slash everything, and get rid of everything. But cool. I would love to, I guess, just speak on the Leadership Institute. I was, and probably asked by the same person you were asked to, I don't know, to attend it. But it was pretty cool experience for me. It was pretty intense. It was 75 hours over 9 days. We went down to Washington, D.C., Virginia. I was actually in Tyson's. It was just outside of Washington, D.C., still in Virginia. But
right.
How was the experience for you? For people that are watching, it was basically a conservative workshop for politics.
Absolutely. And I can credit, I think, the Campaign Leadership College with my victory. I mentioned before about the easiness once you understood the logistics and the strategy portion. And that was all them. I was, as I was doing their work, I was taking notes about my campaign. As I was running their numbers, I was running my numbers. And it was, I think, instrumental to my success. It's a great program. They put you up in a real nice hotel, probably nicer than I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. I would highly recommend it for anyone looking to get trained to run campaigns. Really heavy hitter staff too. Made a lot of connections there. It's a great program.
Definitely. Go on.
It's funny. I got sick the one day and I missed the lesson on ethics. And I got kind of kicked in the shins on that. But, it's a great program. Everything there is applicable. A lot of the programs, they'll give you all sorts of ideology or theory, but everything in that program is just facts, strategy, planning, execution.
Kicked in the shins. They should have you on a poster. Did you contact them to tell them that you won?
I reached out. I got a little bit of support, but I mean, I'm sure you're aware, they're extremely busy. They're running those almost 24/7.
No, that's awesome that they even reached back out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I reached out a couple of times throughout the campaign for advice, and I always got really responsive, helpful advice.
And for anybody that's watching, I was very impressed and surprised that there is a program like this. It's funded by charitable donors. And if anybody's interested, you could contact myself, leave a comment or whatever. And they are looking for people to apply to these programs right now. They're contacting us saying, do you know anybody? So I'm sure they said the same thing to you, Askar. And one last thing with it, because I liked it, and I'm very thankful and humble that I was invited. So I'm not going to disparage them at all. But it was interesting what I picked up on, that they were the former Ted Cruz campaign people, and with Youngkin as well. So in Governor Youngkin in Virginia, 2021, I believe, they were able to pull that out, and that was a big win. But the Ted Cruz campaign had my eyebrows like, okay, so you were against them, but now you're for him. Just like how Ted Cruz now loves Donald Trump. But before, it was the primary politics. Like yourself, you said to me, the primary is over. Maybe it'd be great to have a video. I agree. But I can't help but think that is the Washington Beltway type, not the populist type person, a neocon in a sense. But I loved it. I learned so much, and I learned more there than I did in my 4 years of liberal arts. To be honest, liberal arts.
Hey, and I'll tell you, good ideas are good ideas. Good plans, good strategy are good strategy. Governor Youngkin was a huge win. I'm hoping we'll get something like that in our governor's race next year. Pull one out. They have. It was good. Yeah, look, as they're willing to train young conservatives, most of whom were, like you were saying, more populist candidates, and they're more than happy to train them. I can't speak to their personal politics, but hey, what they were teaching was good stuff, and I'm living proof of that. It worked.
No, yeah, even I believe Mark, he was from New Jersey himself. He knew everything of the New Jersey politics, and it's more of, you rather want to win or stay true to your principles. They would always describe that. I'm sure they said the same thing to you. And that's really the game of politics. It's either negotiate or fight to live to fight another day, sort of thing.
Well, that's what they say. If you don't win, you can't govern.
All right, cool. We're going good 30 minutes. Let's go right into the establishment politics. Now, that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years with NJ First, pretty much poking the beehive of the NJ GOP and the Democrat Party. A lot of people think I just go after the Republicans, but no, I got in my book, my NJ First ebook, go after the Democrats as well. But I would love to switch gears and just talk about let's start with New Jersey Democrat Party. If there's anything that you like about them, I'm going to say things I like or things that we don't like. And it's all regarding New Jersey, of course, or we can talk about the national politics. But is there any Democrats up by you that you know are real good ones that you want to let known, look into this guy?
Well, look, I think the Democratic Party in New Jersey in general has much, much better party discipline than we do. We just recently, and I won't name names, but we had Senate candidates attacking assembly candidates via letter. And these were all elected officials, right? And it was really disappointing to see. You don't see that in Democratic. You don't see major Democrats primarying each other like we saw down in was it the 3rd legislative district of Ed. They're very disciplined. As far as good politicians, I have a soft spot for Dave Bailey Jr., the assemblyman in that 3rd district. He runs a program called Rancho. It's a Christian nonprofit. It's for young men. And I spent a lot of time in that program, and it was very, very helpful for me. I'm his fan for life, regardless of the letter next to his name. I know he's a good guy, and he's in a tough district. So, he's at least close to the middle.
That's an assemblyman, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. I'll watch this back and get the name and look him up. They definitely started out, I guess, this year, like you said, getting more in line and not primarying, even though they tried to with the Tammy Murphy thing. Tammy Murphy, I guess, riding the county line, and then in comes Andy Kim for Senate because of Bob Menendez getting dropped out, Gold Bar Bob. So that's interesting, the county line with the Democrats, that they were able to defeat it. I mean, I even saw a tweet out today from New Jersey media that Burlington and I forget the other, Middlesex, I believe, Burlington and Middlesex, I think, are going through with their ballot boxes. And it's up to now the judge whether or not they think that the county line is constitutional or not. But how do you feel about that county line? You ran off it yourself.
Right. So my election was nonpartisan, or we didn't have access to a line either way. But it's interesting. The county line I found, and I haven't been involved in party politics for a super long time. The county line, I've never seen it help, frankly. I've seen in many instances running around and fielding bad candidates. I think it's good that it's gone. I know there are arguments to keep it. I've heard a lot of those good arguments. I just don't think that it's beneficial. I think it benefits establishment candidates and entrenched incumbents a lot of the time. Not my favorite thing in the world.
Right. And the argument from both parties, they're not shy about it. They say they don't want outsiders infiltrating and then becoming the status quo for their party. They have been working at this for the last decade, so they want it structured. But myself being through the primaries, like you go into it and it's just layers upon layers. There's a county line and then there's a convention requirement and then there's even more upon this. So they really don't want new people or people active like myself to, I guess, get involved. They rather them get behind them. I mean, you yourself are a Republican, right?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess you're doing a lot better than I am with it.
Well, look, there's a certain point where you need to say this is the way things are right now, and you've got to play it. I have found that you're able to get a lot more done playing by the rules, although you seem to have gotten a lot done not doing that. So it's really dealer's choice in a lot of those ways.
And my mature side, of course, the devil on one side and the angel on the other. I understand that. And then I look at the Democrat Party as we're talking about them right now. They are going through with it. They are mounting this, I guess, populist in a sense, this grassroots in a sense. I do criticize that Andy Kim rode that county line his whole entire life, but he was able to amass a grassroots movement to relinquish this county line. Why can the Democrats do this, but Republicans, just got to keep what it is, got to bite your tongue. It's crazy.
Well, I suppose it helps when you win.
Yeah, I suppose that is all the power. And I don't want to get into the Bob Oth up there by you guys. He says all you have to do is win first. But then I look at the voting records of Republicans. All right, let's hope they vote the right way this time if we have all the people in power. And I guess just like in Congress, that's how it is. But one Democrat I've come across, Jamal Hawley. He was with the RFK campaign, actually. There's a bunch of Republicans and Democrats coming together in New Jersey for that RFK campaign. Did you see that at all up in Bergen?
I saw a couple posts, I think tweets by Jamal Hawley. I saw that he was on the RFK train, although that's kind of winding down. He did issue an official endorsement for Trump. I saw one RFK sign in my town. However, it was absolutely put up by a operative because it wasn't put on a private property, just the interstate. I'll level with you. I haven't looked into RFK too deeply. The two-party system we have in this country makes it really unviable for third-party candidates. It's just the way that it is.
And that's how it goes with the Democrats too. RFK was never a Democrat, they say, and it's not like they're just saying this right now. They would always say he's Republican, things like that. Congressional District 7's got Sue Altman. You familiar with that name?
Yeah, I watched that race. I've got a couple people that I know from a class that are interning for her. I guess campaign, I suppose.
Yeah, she's got a lot of history in New Jersey with the working. I guess you would say, exactly. But I would say like more Democrat socialist rather than just Democrat, right?
Yeah, it was a bad pick in my eyes. I think they made the wrong choice in that primary. I think it's going to cost them in the general. It's as simple as that.
You should start your own YouTube channel and predict stuff. All right. Let's finish this up with the let's finish up with the Republican Party. It's my forte, just because New Jersey Republican Party especially. And we won't bore the viewers, but yourself, you're in Bergen County, you're a Republican Party over there. Do you yourself consider yourself America First Republican or just a conservative Republican? I consider myself an American nationalist.
Yeah, well, it's tough to say. The America First moniker has been so stretched to include so many people. I definitely agree with the sentiment that the United States has a responsibility first and foremost to American citizens. I thought that was pretty common belief, but I guess not really these days. I don't know that I would label myself as anything besides a Republican. I didn't have a chance to vote in the primary, obviously, because by the time it got to us, it had been melted down. I think that in Bergen County specifically, there's a very specific kind of Republican that wins. And I would rather have a center-right Republican than a moderate to far-left Democrat, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. New Jersey is geographical in the sense of politics. It seems like it hasn't come with the times with that. And myself, ironically, I keep saying this to people, but I've never called myself a conservative. Check my Twitter, check my past videos or everything. Never. I definitely agree with conservatives on many things. But yeah, independent, just because I'm in the business of politics and the labels, like you said, the monikers hardly mean anything anymore. Right wing, what is right wing? Center right sounds a lot better. But tell us what you most like about the New Jersey State Republican Party. There's got to be something. A lot of people watching say nothing at all. There's nothing good at it. They are with the Democrats. They're with the Uni Party. There's got to be something good with them. Let them know.
We've got heart. It takes a lot to keep running candidates and keep, these terrifyingly slow margins that we're losing by I think that they're getting smarter with vote by mail, picking it up. Once we start cutting that edge down, and hey, they're doing a good job in voter registrations. This is like a year and a half now that we're beating them. We're beating Democrats every month with voter registrations. I think a lot of the complaints that people have with our state party, it's just there are complaints that they have with our state. We're not a southern state. We're not a Midwestern state. Our politics are inherently going to be more centrist leaning than a state like Kentucky or a state like Alabama. And that can be frustrating, I think, to a lot of grassroots. The similar problem you're seeing in the Democratic Party. There are states where they're a lot more moderate, but your grassroots are much more populist in nature. They're much more progressive in nature. Our country is just seeing a shift in the people that currently hold power and the people that are, I guess you could say, next up to hold power. They disagree with each other on a lot of key issues.
Yeah, it was very well said. Definitely. And ironic, and unfortunately, there's a Generation X, and they just got skipped over. It goes right to us. They don't have any say to rule. But yeah, voter registration in New Jersey. Everybody knows there's 1 million more Democrats registered to vote, but that doesn't mean. I mean, just look at the numbers. They don't win by 1 million. So the voter registration going in the favor of Republicans is great. That's what you need if you have any hope. And one thing I would like to say, in disparagingly, but I do credit maybe a strategy. Bob Hugin and a big NJGOP operative, Kenneth Gonzalez, he's around our age, he signed Bob Menendez's petition to run as an independent. Now this got picked up in the news and everything, but it had to be a strategy in the same way that RFK was almost a strategy. There was pulling away from the votes. Then it got me thinking Curtis Bashaw could win in a 3-way with Menendez, Bashaw, and Andy Kim. But I don't think it was a good look on the NJGOP side.
It wasn't a good look. There's no doubt in my mind that Bob Hugin and Kenneth Gonzalez are not voting, or that they're voting for Bob Menendez. It's not going to happen. They're not doing it. I think there was absolutely a strategy to get him on the ballot as an independent. It's something that I laughed about when I saw it, to be honest with you. Not great optics for us, but I can see the vision, is what I'll say.
Maybe I got to have more fun with these things, yeah. Let's see. Don't want to get you in trouble with anything, but let's talk the 2025 gubernatorial primary for Republicans. The Democrats are going to have one too. Steve Phillip and Ross Baraka. Oh my gosh, Ross Baraka is running. Oh my God. You know who Ross Baraka is?
I've heard of him. Well, in the context of the primary, but beyond, I don't really know. He's the mayor of a large city.
Mayor of Newark, right? Mayor of Newark, and the only reason why people sigh when they hear his is because it's the blame the son for the sins of the father. I think his dad was a part of the the Communist Party in America, something like that.
See.
But
okay,
so Ross Baraka, oh gosh, okay. But they got their own primary on the Democrat side. Republicans, it's heating up already, and I say that's what hijacked the primary of this 2024 was the primary coming up for 2025. Before you give your take on it and everything, or whatever you want to say, of the leadership, I guess we would say going forward. In New Jersey and Virginia are the only 2 states that have governor races in that year, always. So it's going to be on the national news. We're going to have a national stand again, even after a presidential year, just for viewers. But yourself, any favorites or any goodwills towards people?
Look, so I'll just go down the candidate list. Frankly, I feel comfortable talking about this. Ed Durr and Bill Spadia, they have conservative bases in South Jersey. They're going to fight each other for what's down there. It was interesting to me to see when former Senator Durr did hop in the race, because he is going to be fighting for Spadia with that a lot. I don't think that their brand of conservatism can win in New Jersey. I'll be honest with you. It's just, frankly, they're going to waste resources fighting with each other, and they're going to leave a venue open for someone else. I think Bramnick has the best chance of winning, but I like Chitterelli as a person. I always tell this story. I was working on a state senate campaign. I was an intern, and we had a volunteer phone bank night, and we didn't have any volunteers. Nobody had organized it. Nobody showed up besides candidates and electeds. Jack Chitterelli walked in that room. He sat down. He picked up a phone. He looked at us and he said, "Okay, we've got the A team here." And he sat with us the whole night making phone calls. It's the kind of thing that it wins a lot of goodwill, I think, in me. Mm-hmm. I think he's right there treading the middle. I mean, he almost got Murphy the second time. I joked on Twitter, I think. Somebody said that Jack had already ran 2 times and he wasn't going to win a third time. And I said, it's a good thing there's never been a governor's candidate that lost a primary, lost a general, and won on the third time. Talking, of course, about former Governor Florio, who did exactly that. I like Jack. I want to like Bramnick. I don't know anything about the guy. I want to like him because I want him to win. I want a Republican governor. Don't know anything about him. I've met him, I believe, once at a county convention. But I've met Jack several times. He's been very active, and he remembers me, which is astonishing. I mean, you got to think about how many people he meets, but he gave me a cell phone number. When I text him, he responds. Maybe it's political maneuvering, but it's won a great amount of goodwill with me.
And now for the people who are watching her just getting triggered so much, I'm 100% understanding what Askar is saying. He's saying the most viable candidate that could win New Jersey, meaning you got to get independents and Democrats to vote for you. But interesting choices. I don't have the luxury of talking to Jack Chitterelli. I don't say bad stuff about Jack. But John Bramnick, I understand why that guy doesn't talk to me. Okay. Spadia and I guess Spadia, or is it Spadia? Spadia and Ed Durr. I'm very hopeful because they are open to free speech and they come in Twitter spaces. They will talk to you on the campaign trails. And I don't see that with Jack, definitely not. But I do see Jack being Jack is the most active Republican in the whole entire state. In 2017, after he lost, 2018, he started his campaign right away for 2021. In 2021, he lost. He started his campaign right away. He's active. Now Bill Spadia is the second, if not on par with Jack, how active he is going around. So I think it's definitely between Spadia and Jack. But the way that me and you hear the Washington Beltway conservative types down at DC and Leadership Institute, all that they remember is how close he was to winning. And all the Jack, they keep saying Jack. Oh, that guy Jack from New Jersey. I'm like, you actually know his name? So that might play a role.
He got very close. I think is it Kellyanne Conway's polling company that had him with a sizable lead, I think, in the primary. I like him. I think he's a good guy. I don't know much in the way of his policies, and so before I make a final decision on who I'm voting for in the primary, I'm going to listen to him talk a little bit. Mm-hmm. I've spoken to Bill Spadia a couple of times. Doesn't know who I am. That's not a big deal for me. I watched him promise a candidate campaign funds that never came.
2023, right? 2023.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was, he's raising a lot of money. I think he's going to run a good race, but I don't know that he'd be my first pick. Or my second.
Yeah, I don't have any favorites in it, and I hope to keep NJ First a neutral platform so we can find out what these candidates are about. And even on the Democrat side, I saw that Ed Durr did an interview with Steve Fulop. So if they're willing to cross sides and interview each other, they should be able to come on NJ First and talk with the people like this. But yeah. Got anything else?
The Democratic primary, I don't really have a whole lot of favorites. Steve Fulop, I mean, I wasn't going to vote for him anyway, right? But he kind of pissed me off with the Valentina Gomez situation. So for context, there is a very, very far-right candidate for Secretary of State in a state that I can't recall. And her brother happens to work for Jersey City, which is where Steve Fulop's the mayor of. He kicks, I think, $50 to her campaign or something, and Steve Fulop demands a retraction, demands an apology letter, and then fires the guy anyway. And I'm like, okay, I ran for office. I get it. I had hardcore Democrats kick me money because, oh, it's Askar. Like, I know him. Well, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was,
Mhm.
you know, I can't imagine, you know, my brother running for public office or someone in my family running for public office and me not kicking them what I could. You know, like I will be honest with you. If tomorrow my brother ran as a left-leaning Democrat, I would donate money to him because I know my brother. He's a good guy. Politics probably aren't great, but he's a decent person that I'd want to see in office.
Nice. It's very honorable of you, definitely. And I lost my train of thought. I was listening to you, but that's a good place to end right there, I think. Where can people get in touch with you? What would you like the viewers to last hear from you, and anything, please?
I can be reached at Askar Mirza NJ on pretty much every social media. It's something that I was lucky to have claimed on all platforms. Check me out. Follow me on Twitter. I want to keep making my voice heard. I want to keep helping. I think I in 2023 especially, I think I was an intern on half the campaigns in Bergen County, just running around helping where I could. Yeah, reach out if you're a campaign that needs a hand or anything I can do to be helpful. Thanks, Ryan, for having me on the show.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on and having this long form discussion. You know, I've interviewed people and they can't have these long discussions. Very mature of yourself, and I hope to see great things of you in the future. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.